Is the UFC done with ESPN Plus? Dana White furious over disastrous streaming. Netflix could take over. So this has been the talk since last week when they had the debacle at UFC 313 when a lot of people couldn't get the pay-per-view. Like imagine you're ready, you got the money, you want to buy this thing and then you don't get to see it. And then ESPN comes out and says we're going to show it after the fact, but by then it's too late. And I really want UFC to stay with ESPN, but I see what's going on now. I mean, and I will tell you the truth from my perspective. Uh, when I try to watch a thing on TV, it's always it doesn't work right. That's all I could say. There's lag, things of that nature. When I do it on the computer, I get better results. It seems like it works a little bit better, but I can imagine people are having problems with this all over the place. Now, you might be watching and saying, "Hey, I've had no problem with ESPN Plus," but there's been a lot of people that have had lag issues that haven't gotten to see fights, things of that nature. So could the UFC be positioning itself to leave ESPN? Well, I believe they're still in the exclusive window or close to it. Um, I don't think ESPN wants to lose the UFC, and a lot of this stuff is just marketing, right? And they're kind of going back and forth with each other. The UFC is now in a position of trying to make a deal for the broadcasting rights for the next several years, and someone's going to have to pony up and pay big time. And the UFC is going to start positioning companies against each other. Who's going to give the biggest deal? And I guarantee by summer we're going to hear something. But it just seems like people are upset with ESPN Plus, and that doesn't mean that they can't get it together and keep the UFC if the money is right. But I could easily see Netflix taking this thing. And really, the main reason I want ESPN Plus or ESPN itself to keep the UFC is because I like the stats. I always use the stats on ESPN. Will that continue if the UFC is not uh, in a rights deal with ESPN? I don't know. And at that point, then you got to go over to UFC.com, and it's a little bit different there. So that will be a big difference for us in terms of how we're breaking down the fights and those type of things. But we'll adjust one way or the other. We're going to adjust. So no big news on the future for the UFC broadcast rights deal. But right now, it looks like ESPN is in a little bit of trouble.